topic in math, we are going to transition from adding and subtracting to fractions. And fractions is a topic that we use in everyday life. You might not have even realized it. For example, if you have a cookie and you were deciding to share your cookie with your brother or your sister and you broke it in half, that half is a fraction. So fractions are part of our everyday lives. And now we're going to learn even more about them. So, the definition or the meaning of a fraction is a number that shows equal parts of a whole object or a set of objects. And this word equal is very, very important because in order for an object to be a fraction, it needs to have equal parts. So what do I mean by a whole? A whole is an object that has all of its parts. For example, this circle would be my whole. And when I'm talking about equal parts, so if I have my whole circle and I were to cut it in half, I would have 2 parts. And looking at my circle, to the best of Miss Emerson's drawing abilities, my 2 parts are equal, which means that this circle represents a fraction. Now here is an example of an object that is not cut into equal parts, so therefore it will not be a fraction. So if I were to draw a triangle, and I were to cut it into 2 pieces, but I decided to divide it near the top. Looking at these 2 pieces, are they equal? If I were to share it with somebody and I got the bottom part and they got the top part, do you think that would be fair? No, because these 2 parts are not equal. So therefore, this triangle does not show a fraction. So when we are working with fractions, you need to be very careful to pay attention whether the object has equal parts. Now I want to practice identifying whether an object is showing a fraction or not. So let's look at this example. So if I have a rectangle and I broke it into 3 parts. Looking at my rectangle, do all the parts look pretty much the same size? Yes. So this would represent a fraction. Now, if I were to have a trapezoid, and I were to divide it into 3 parts, and I was sharing it with 2 of my friends, and I got this corner, one of my friends got the middle, and another friend got that other corner. Would we all get the same or equal amount of parts or size parts? No. 2 of us have smaller parts than the person that got the middle part. So this would not be an example of a fraction. Right, so like I've said before, we need to pay close attention to whether the parts are equal. Now, when we're working with fractions, we have different vocabulary that we might use for fractions and different names. So, looking at this one bar, it says a whole. So, one whole is a full object. Next, we have half, thirds, scoot that over some, fourths, sixth. And my last one that we will be working with, eighths. And if you notice, what we use for that name of that fraction is related to the bottom number or the denominator, which I will explain a little bit more in another video. And we add on most of them a THS. So sixths, eighths, fourths. Okay, so we have to make sure when we're explaining a fraction that we use those correct terms. All right, and our big takeaway from this video is that a fraction is a number that shows equal parts of a whole object or a set of objects. So if the parts are not equal, it is not a fraction.